we don't have it today, but could you say just a few words about the Woodcutters project?
Sure,
sure. And including the Semillon or the Semillon?
Yeah. Semillon, I call it Semillon, but Semillon, or Zemillon if you're a real Brosson, a real box head.
Okay.
The Woodcutter Shiraz, it's over half my production, you know. That comes from predominantly younger vineyards, so 15 to 25-year-old vines, but as I said earlier, the yields are still held down to, 30 to 40 hectolitres, 2.5, 3 tonnes of the acre. So you're still getting good depth and complexity. The 010, which is the current vintage, is just ridiculously good because it was just a great year.
Okay.
Since 12 months in oak, big food drip mainly, 4,500 metres back. Mainly old ones, but I've started to buy a few new ones. So about 10% of it's the new ones, the rest of it's the older ones. The Woodcutters to me is always a project that I want the wine to punch well above its weight. First thing people see in the Torbreck portfolio.
Yeah, it's important.
Oh, absolutely. It's what became even more important when well. So trust me, yeah.
It's the gateway to everything else.
So that's become it always was, and it also, from a more business side of things, it gives us, I've got my own bottling line now. There's no way I could have ever afforded to have a bottling line to have 1,000 cases of run read, 1,200 of factor, 600 or 700 of descendant, 200 of pick, 300. There's no way I could justify my own bottling line for those volumes, but because of the Woodcutters, which in a good year can be 30,000 cases, gives me the ability to have a bottling line and gives me some efficiencies in the winery to have some nice stuff that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. The Semillon's the other one. The Semillon's actually an interesting one because it's a variety that, even though there's a lot planted in the Barossa, it's not something that I really consider all that well suited to the Barossa. But this one, what I make is from a very, very unusual clone. It has a really thick skin. So 2 reasons that's important. Of course, the Barossa is warm and dry, so keeping acidity, particularly natural acidity in white, incredibly important. So I don't make I don't make Rieslings, I don't make Pinots, I don't make Chardonnays, that kind of stuff.
We should have a bottle of Descendant here. That's what the screw up was. We got the 2 steaming.
Oh, I see the one Descendant. No,
When we run them again? No.
What else do you have?
There should be a bottle of Descendant.
in the car.
In the car.
Yeah, well, let's finish off with that.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
I'll take.
Thanks.
What happened is they gave me both sets of samples. So Todd didn't pull 2 sets for you. He pulled 2 and gave them both to me, so they don't have any.
Oh, handy.
So they're coming here to get them.
That's clever. We'll give them the cork one. If they know. No, I'm joking. Don't give the cork one. I'll try and sell it.
So we have just finished with the Semillon.
Yeah, so the Semillon, I only make about 2,500 cases, but it's really, as I said, an unusual clone. So there's lovely acidity. It gets 5 or 6 grams of acid naturally, which is, some places is fine, but the Barossa Valley with a white grape like that, it's quite unusual. Unless you pick it really early and then it's not ripe. Spends the older vineyard, which is now about 100 years old. The original source block is fermented in 3 or 4 year old or 2 or 3 year old French barrique, and then aged in oak for 9 months. So you're not really picking up any oak because it's already used, but just a nice bit of creaminess and texture from barrel fermenting and so on. And then the younger vineyards, which are 4 vineyards taken cuttings off the old one that I planted on my other properties or one of my growers' properties. That gets fermented and aged in stainless, and then we blend it together about 10 months later. So, but it's got a lovely minerality to it that you don't often. People like Parker, when they've seen the wine, and others, said it's almost like a mid-Rhone, like a Marsanne or even a Roussanne or something, because it has a minerality that you don't normally see out of Semillon. I'm just trying to think what else.
Yeah, no, it's great stuff. I've enjoyed it. And is there a rosé made every year?
Well, not every year. In fact, I love rosé, but real rosé. I actually call it Saignée because I hate this sugar sweet. You guys call them panty droppers. We're a lot more direct. We call them leg spreaders, but. I'm not really into that sort of sweet gooey rosé. I love Mandala Tempio rosé. So we make a rosé, but as I said, every year it doesn't perhaps work out the way we want, where it's bled off Mataro, one vineyard, and then we ferment it in barrel, ferment it bone dry, so it's quite savoury.
Okay.
That sort of more salmony, sort of darker colour than the sort of vibrant, bright rosé. I mean, once again, I understand the marketplace for rosés. I just don't like them. If I don't like the wine, I don't want to make it. Simple as that. I've got to drink my wines quite regularly, so if I don't like them, I can't force myself to drink it.
And we were speaking earlier, of course, of the Chabs. In terms of your own personal drinking,
yep.
Well, where are you at these days?
Burgundy, Barolo. I mean, people think I don't like Pinot Noir because I don't make it. It's the fact I've got so much respect for it that I wouldn't bastardise it by making it the Barossa. It's just the wrong climate. In fact, I'm not a huge fan of any Australian Pinot. There's some good ones, but there's no great ones in my opinion. A couple, Michael Dillon at Bindi and Philip Jones at Bass Phillip are the 2 in my mind that make world-class Pinots. I shouldn't say none. So I love Burgundy, but as I said, I don't ever attempt to make it, but I drink a lot of Burgundy. And I got a lot of great friends there. Dominic Lafong, Jeremy Sisson. In fact, I've been emailing Jeremy Sisson Dujak back and forth the last few days about a production issue in bottling.
Okay.
Right, Northern Rhone, of course, all the Rhone, but particularly Northern Rhone. Obviously Sharv. I met John Louis probably 20 years ago now, but we've become very, very close. And he's a great. Not only is he a great winemaker, he's a great guy. You had Aaron here recently, and they're just two of the nicest people you could ever wish to meet. And their kids are adorable too. I've become, and I'll tell you, I was there with my two sons, even though they're quite a bit older. And my younger son spent a lot of time, playing with John Louis' son, who's quite a bit younger, but my son's got younger nephews and stuff, so they sort of got on really well, which is good, seeing as though both my boys at some stage or another will actually be living with them for a while. And up in Cote Rôtie, I love the Cote Rôtie wines, and of different styles, whether it be the young guys like the Augiers or Gangalos or that, but also the Gigar wines. The Gigars, particularly Philippe and his wife Eve, are good friends. I love their wines. But Rostang, there's a lot of I should pay attention to what I'm doing, shouldn't I? It's a good thing I'm not a wine waiter, isn't it?
It's funny, they were out there picking up the samples on my car. I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, did you give me the other steading?
You give me no second.
Yeah, I got the other steading. I should pay attention. There's nothing wrong with that cork. That was just me.
There we go.
Not just my wrist.
Everybody can mess up their action.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. If you're not paying attention.
I don't think I can get a cork out of an old bottle of wine to save my life.
Well, that's probably not you though. That's the cork. And a lot of the older bottles too, the quality of cork is atrocious. You know what I mean? So very rarely you get an old bottle of wine that's got a decent cork in it. It makes you wonder. You open some of these old wines, you think, oh my God, how can they put such a piece of cork in it? So the Descendant, this is 06, so it's a cooler year. You can see more tightly. But I love the 06. The 05 and 06 were good vintages. The 05, well, I should say they're great vintages. The 05 was very classic Barossa. The 06 was slightly cooler. The press preferred the 05s. I prefer the 06s. I can understand why the press prefer the 05s because they're more approachable, more expressive when they're young. To me, the 06s have a delineation of purity of the fruit that in 10, 15, 20 years will clearly make them better wines. To drink now, yeah, the 05s. To drink it down the track, to sell it, 06. Descendant, single vineyard of Shiraz, co-fermented with 8% Viognier. No doubt inspired by Cote Rôtie, but initially it was actually inspired by a couple of other Australian producers who beat me to the Shiraz Viognier thing. Without the Viognier, it would be a caricature. It would be all brambly, briary Shiraz, lots of licorice and all that sort of stuff. But the Viognier, gives it obviously lovely aromatic lift. You get a bit of that white, no, not the dried apricots, but that white stone fruit sort of lift and a bit of floral aromatic. But of course the Shiraz aromatics are there as well. That dark, really like blackberries and black currants. But then the Viognier produces, as you may or may not know, high levels of glycerol in that grape variety. So that gives the wine great legs, of course. That's where that comes from. But it gives the wine almost a silky, velvety texture on the palate. So it gives the wine some complexity, both to make it approachable when it's young, but also develop beautifully when it ages. The earlier vintages of this are now showing that lovely charcuterie type character, that sort of smoky tarriness, that roasted meat character we associate with the Cote Rôtie.
And co-fermented?
It's co-fermented, yeah.
Very young though, it's delicious.
Oh, it's a baby. 6 years old to me is a baby. But still, it just goes to show, and especially when you get it on your palate, considering it was a single vineyard wine from a relatively warm area. Because I'm talking about cool in 06, cool for the Barossa, not cool for Yarra Valley or for Sonoma Coast or something like that. See, it's already on the palate. I find that sexy. Sorry, people. As a descriptor for you. Technical term.
People like to hear things described in everyday language. It's nice. So, well, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Dave Powell from Torbreck, and thanks for watching.